She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties.
We do have a pastor comes in around 4:30. If y'all mind waiting around, help me be happy to pray with y'all.
That's how I joined a radical puppet collective.
Tom Cruise, fresh fish.
It's drugs, Molly.
I think, you know what I need to make? A paper mache penis. Back at your regularly scheduled time and program, friends.
Yeah. We've had a weird month. We've been scheduling.
Fucking hell, you're telling me.
We've been filming things out of order, which we don't love to do because then we get confused.
I'm dyslexic already. My life is backwards as is.
But, I mean, we had a fucking amazing month. This is the last episode for spooky season, last episode for October,
and November's going to be busy, too, because I cannot wait to read Galveston.
Oh, yeah.
And, we have a lot of great stuff coming up.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that at the end of the episode, and it is posted to social media, and I updated our website today, so... Which, by the way, thank you so much for the traffic on our website. People be hitting that shit. We are on the website.
Welcome. Oh, my goodness, sorry. It's just busy.
Yeah.
I got back, and my mother-in-law was here.
Mm-hmm.
And then Liv was sick. And Liv's still sick, and Liv's going to be sick for a little bit, so that's fun. And Piper's going into competition season for our OTC, so you know what that means. Mom's up at 3 a.m.
That's the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, in my dreams.
Counter, Tom.
I don't care. It was worth it. Taylor's a god.
Okay, then.
Friday night filming is...
I forgot to tell you that yesterday we got in a new book, because for those of you who are just joining us, I'm a librarian.
Work in a library.
And I processed it as a new book, and it was this book about Taylor Swift's style and her every style that she had from each era. And it's written by a woman who... I'll put the link below, but it's written by a woman who runs a Taylor style blog.
Cool.
And she's been doing it for decades now, because Taylor's been around for decades. So I checked the book in after I processed it as a new, and it wasn't on hold for anybody. So I was like, you're coming home with me.
Because I want to look at the pretty clothes.
Well, I read the whole book last night. I mean, I can't say I read every single word.
Right.
But I read the majority of it and the majority of the captions. Because it reads like a magazine article that's 150 pages.
It's more pictures and... But it's reminiscing, right?
But it was really good. So if you're a fan of Taylor's, I don't know that I would pay for this book because it's like a $40 book. But,
I paid for a book the other day, and I'm on a book buying band.
Girl, I bought 4 books when we were at the bookstore.
Oh, I'm not counting those.
When we were at Novel Grounds, and I'm on a book buying band too.
I'm going to put the link down here for Geo, but I got the Spooky Lakes book. Oh my goodness. It is so good. If you do not know who Geo is on TikTok, she is an art teacher, but she is also, I don't even know the title of this, but she studies lakes professionally.
I've never even heard of this, so I'll be interested for you to send me a TikTok too.
So she does, in the month of October, every day, since 2020, she has done a spooky lake throughout the world. And it's spooky history and what it is. And some of these are really scary and wild, but she is also an art teacher, and that's how she's been paying her bills. 2020 is when she became a content creator, like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Well, she got a book contract, and it's a children's book. And when I tell you this artwork, I'll do a detailed video about it on the Book Besties TikTok. But it is a beautiful book.
Don't show everything because there's copyright issues.
Right. I won't show everything.
And we don't get paid, so we cannot be sued.
Not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored. But she hides little ghosts on every page.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it's super cute. So.
Okay, so we are wrapping up this month. We had 5 episodes for October. And 4 of them were spooky, because we always do spooky.
Yes.
And the one for this week, this is the week of Halloween, and we have for the first time ever a true horror, and it's this book, How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix.
When I tell you.
This is a library copy. Support local libraries.
This book. Kakawee-wee!
Kakawee-wee!
It's very high-pitched in the audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
Kakawee-wee! Kakawee-wee!
Yep. This house to me looks like a Lego house that's like somehow haunted. Like
that's what the book looks. That's what my book looks like.
It's like the haunted house in the a Lego movie or something. But
that's the only. You know what? You've sold it. How to Sell a Haunted House, a Lego movie. That's what it needs to be, Grady. Thank you, Grady Hendrix.
I did see that the rights have been sold and they're making it into a movie. Yeah, this book's from last year.
Yeah, but I mean, if his following and his storytelling is this good in all of his work, he's gonna be like M. Night and King Peele soon. You know.
You know what though? What's interesting is, gosh, this must have been either last season or the season before. Mm-hmm. I vetoed a book of choice of yours.
Yes, ma'am, you did.
And it was My Best Friend's Exorcism.
Yes, by Grady Hendrix.
And so that's interesting.
It looked funny.
But I don't do demons. Like, I don't do it.
But it makes
because here's the thing. I don't believe ghosts are real. I do fucking believe demons are real.
Oh, ghosts are 1,000,000% real. And I've seen a ghost, personally.
But see, that's the difference here. I don't necessarily believe that you saw a ghost. I believe you saw a demonic presence.
My grandfather. You're telling me my grandfather was a demon?
It's very well possible. Demons are quite deceptive.
We'll agree to disagree.
I mean, I'm fine
I
with that.
I would much rather think that it was my grandfather just being my grandpa.
I would like to think that for you, but I still don't believe in ghosts. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's why
on the other hand,
I have an issue with demon stuff. So let's talk about this book. Can I give you a synopsis?
Please.
Because I know I'm like going faster than we normally do, but quite frankly, this week has wiped me the fuck out.
No worries, girl.
We're behind because we were trying to do so many things at once, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to be late on this one, and now I'm like exhausted.
You're like, why are we always doing this to ourselves?
Like, we had a conversation this week, and I don't like to talk about this stuff a lot on pod because I feel like this is us complaining about being content creators. And really, I hate when people do that. But we are still...
my life is so hard. Yeah, I know, I get it.
Right. We are still an unsponsored podcast.
Unpaid content creators?
Right. And I love what we do, but there are definitely times where I'm like, you know what? We're just not going to do this. We're just going to take a break because we need to. And it's not like we're being paid to do it. So if we have to take a break, we have to take a break.
No, it's more of like what happens is you and I plan and then life adds on top of it. Yeah. So we forget when we're scheduling that we're like responsible fucking grown-ups. Right. And then we forget that our kids just randomly throw shit into our lives. Because that's not how it works. Their schedules constantly change.
The good news is we have some seriously cool stuff coming up this season. Oh my God, to come. Yes. We've already had our first filming live at a bookstore, and now we've got some big stuff coming up.
I got a couple things on deck.
Yeah.
I got a couple things on
deck. We have at least 2 authors before the season's over. Mm-hmm. Well, 3 because it's a writing duo, one of them. But there's a potential that we'll get somebody else. We just can't.
But we're not
talk about it.
Just cross your fingers, light a candle, say a prayer, whatever your spiritual, mental powers of being, your wills, push it our way, friends.
Please. All right. So synopsis.
Please and thank you.
In Grady Hendrix' How to Sell a Haunted House, we meet Louise, a single mom living in San Francisco far from her North Carolina roots. When her brother Mark calls her to inform her that their parents died in a tragic car crash 48 motherfucking hours ago, she hops on a plane to visit the people and places that made her. Unfortunately for Louise, her parents have left behind a home filled with creepy-ass dolls and puppets from her mother's business as a Christian puppeteer, which is a real thing, by the way. Additionally, Mark is trying to run the show, even though Louise knows he's never been the responsible one. At the will reading, Louise learns the hard truth. Everything has been left to Mark. Except her mom's heart, which includes the aforementioned creepy-ass dolls and puppets. When Louise tries to clean out her parents' house to rid it of the horrors of her mom's life's work, she learns a startling truth. The house is haunted.
Yeah, it's fucking haunted.
Thus begins a crazy adventure for Louise and Mark, complete with murderous puppets, radical puppeteer collectives, sawed-off arms, and a dark family history in Tiki-Two Woods. Cock-a-wee-wee, friends.
Cock-a-wee-wee. Before you even do your first question, I want to remind folks, especially for this episode, we give fucking spoilers.
We give spoilers, yeah.
In this book, I'm gonna fucking talk about fucking everything. Mm-hmm. So you've been warned.
We do actually have some people who we've had both sides of the coin. We have people who say, when I haven't read a book, I skip it and come back to it till I've read it. And we do have a lot of people to catch up over the summer when we take a break. And
they use it like for their summer reading.
Yeah. And then we have people who are like, fuck it. I don't care about spoilers. I'm still going to read the fucking book. So I want to hear that.
People use it for reviews to see if they like it.
Yeah.
I think
we're still convinced that Jurassic Park's being used for school homework.
I am 95% certain. But half of that episode we talk about my fucking move. From Texas. So I don't think they're getting much out of it.
Oh my gosh. I forgot to tell you. We got a new book in a few months ago by Michael Crichton called Eruption.
Oh, I was like, I think we just had this conversation. I'm having deja vu. It's Taylor Swift.
No. Listen, we got in this book by Michael Crichton called Eruption. Right. It's brand new. And I'm like, how the fuck did Michael Crichton write a book when he's dead? Mm-hmm. Right? Guess whose name is also on the motherfucking book?
I hope it's Andy Weir.
James motherfucking Patterson! He hired you.
No! Damn it. He ruins everything.
Right.
He ruins everything nice.
What's
wrong with that man?
You know that man hired a ghostwriter to write
everything.
What he was supposed to be ghostwriting for Michael Crichton.
I hate that guy.
Oh my god.
I have never thrown a tantrum on this show before. And I have been known for my tantrums in the past. They're warranted, motherfuckers.
James Patterson is not, we're not fans.
You ruin everything nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Go to your room and think about what you've done, fucker.
And by the way, he was interviewed once and said that it was a hard time to be a white man in publishing.
Eat shit, James Patterson.
I feel so bad for him.
Eat shit for you. Gosh. You literally were born.
My heart breaks.
You were. Eat shit.
All right.
Eat shit.
How do we go through the first question?
Okay, that's a great idea. So I stopped yelling about James Patterson.
It's good advice for everyone. For the first time in Bestie's history, we read a book truly labeled horror, not just a thriller. Mm-hmm. And I picked this book because I felt that
I'm rolling my eyes.
I felt we owed it to our fans to actually do a truly horror book in spooky season.
I've been trying.
I know. So I fucking loved it.
I know.
Makes me question a lot of my life, but I'm wondering what your thoughts were on How to Sell a Haunted House and Grady Hendrix writing.
When I first saw his name, it was My Best Friend's Exorcism. Mm-hmm. The cover of that novel looks like an 80s VHS tape. Mm-hmm. My mind goes to, when I see shit like that, Freddy Krueger. Mm-hmm. And that movie makes me laugh my ass off.
See, not me. I'm terrified.
Oh, it's so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. There's like that scene where like he's cleaning his ears out and he shoves it all the way into his brain.
Yeah.
No, that's not for me.
I'm going to send you a TikTok about Freddy Krueger getting stuck in an ADHD brain.
You already
and
did.
then it'll make sense for you.
You already did.
Huh?
You already
did.
did.
Yeah. And ADHD. It's just a funny premise. So when I see that cover, it makes me think of humor, right? Because there is a touch of humor and campiness to those kind of movies. So
Yeah.
I figured he had that twist of, I'm going to fuck with you while I write this, I'm going to make it funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it was our sense of humor just because of our sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. I thought it had a lot of funny elements to it, and there definitely is a lot of humor. I really liked it. And so when I was younger, so horror is my mom's favorite movie genre, and we watched all of those movies when we were way little? Too fucking young to watch.
Oh, inappropriate. Yeah. Sorry.
I watched all of them. I watched Freddy, I watched Jaws, I watched Jason, I watched Child's Play.
When you were little?
When I was little.
Yeah, that's gonna say, yeah, math is mathin'.
And as a kid, I read a lot of R.L. Stine Goosebumps. I loved
R.L. Stine.
I loved Choose Your Own Adventure, which also had that, there was a campiness to it, but you could die. Yeah. And I
go back. I didn't choose that.
Right. And I loved the show. Are
You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I fucking loved that show.
Yeah. And I even have a favorite episode of that show. My favorite episode is where it's a little boy who his sweater was pulled off of him and he dies. And he's standing outside going, I'm cold. I'm cold.
And you know what that reminds me of?
What?
Are you my mother?
Ugh. Okay. Stop it. That episode of Who is so fucking creepy.
And at the same time, it's devastating.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I think that I don't enjoy it as an adult as much because the world is really scary.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit. It's fucking scary.
I take it the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
Our world is too realistic.
Mm-hmm.
This shit is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real. It's not like Matt and I are going through the Scream movies now.
But you do believe in ghosts. So by that mark, this would be real.
My variation in how I view ghosts is a spirit trapped.
Mm-hmm. A spirit not a haunted puppet.
Not a haunted puppet. It is someone with a message.
Yeah.
I don't believe the dead mean us harm. I don't think the dead have ever meant us harm. And if someone is seeing a evil, I would more think that's demonic. That's not a ghost. A true ghost in my mind and heart is someone here that is trapped or that is missing something from their time.
Okay. So, that is what most people believe about ghosts. So I can understand that. We have technically read a horror story before this one.
Yeah.
Because we read Chezzy's Katzenjammer.
Katzenjammer. Well, if you want to talk technically, Mexican Gothic.
Yeah, that was fucking
Mexican
creepy.
Gothic.
And I actually really liked that book too. And technically,
I want to put Sylvia back on. I really want to put Sylvia back on.
And technically, we read Frankenstein, which is the birth of horror. But I didn't like it the second time I read it either.
Whoever you fucking talk to about Frankenstein, though, half of them say it's sci-fi. So,
my British professor, Dr. Priya Lipinski, told us that book was about sex.
I remember. You told me in the Frankenstein episode.
And I just was like, how?
It's Mary Shelley's. Women see it as Mary Shelley's power over a man because it's a man building up man and it's about pent up gay tension and it's bullshit. Okay. It's a bullshit story, what people are saying.
So what I usually don't like about horror is that it feels real. Like it feels like the world is scary and this could really happen. And with Katzenjammer, which I have right up here, we've never actually talked about the ending of that. We didn't give any spoilers in that because we read it. We read it before it had come out. But that book, huge spoiler, if you want to not have Cats and Hammer spoiled, because it is a really good book.
Skip ahead 10 seconds.
Skip ahead a little bit. But that book is about a school shooting.
Yes, but it's more of a...
And I was still teaching at the time that we read it, and I was like, fucking hell.
It was more of a dissociation for me than a school... like, it wasn't horror.
Well, they're dead.
Me. It was like...
yeah, they're all dead.
Yeah. It's a haunting. It's a fucking haunting.
It's her trying to process what happened to her, how she died.
And what's more horrific is what actually fucking happened than what was going on in the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, next question?
It's
so we're
really
not talking about school shootings anymore? Please?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. All right, we learned pretty early that Louise is pretty particular about things. She doesn't seem to have any real connections besides her daughter.
Yeah.
She keeps her baby daddy at a distance. She prefers not to come home very often. And she basically hates her brother, Mark.
Fucking Mark.
How did you feel about Louise as the main character of the story?
Okay, first and foremost, this woman is anal retentive as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But after we know her story and her storyline, her control issues make a bazillion % reasoning. It's her PTSD reaction to what happened in her childhood.
Yeah.
And what she's doing for Poppy is, yes, it is a bit controlling. She is being not just, she's past the helicopter fucking parent stage. I don't know what's past helicopter, but I don't know. If she could put a freaking ankle monitor on that kid, I think she would. But she's wound so tight. So tight.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I don't find her likable at all.
No. And I think that's kind of the point.
I don't even mind that she, doesn't want to have a relationship with Poppy's dad. Like, they're exes. That's fine. They're civil with each other. But I understand as the book goes on why she was so anal retentive about things, why she was so particular. We get it. She needed order because of what happened to her in her childhood. But I don't like her at all. No. I don't find her likable. I don't want to root for her. I don't like her.
I think that's Grady's point, though.
Oh, 100%.
There is, even the aunt that is in the hospital, there's
Aunt
things
Honey.
about her I don't fucking like. Because she represents what my family used to do. My father's side, right? Put it away in the closet. Don't fucking talk about it. Yeah. Put it away. We're not going to talk about it.
Well, and she's really weird about certain things. So, she tells Poppy that her grandparents have died and then just gets on a plane. And, you didn't give her a chance to process that. There needed to be a longer conversation. You needed to be able to comfort your child after that.
Control.
Right.
It's not about loving Poppy. It's about owning Poppy.
Yeah. And then when Poppy's having all these night terrors and she's wetting the bed and her dad suggests that they're going to take her to a counselor. Yeah. Louise is pissed about it. She's like, she doesn't need therapy. And it's yeah, but she does.
It's because she wanted to pick the therapist.
Right.
She wanted to make the decisions.
Right.
Because she sees Poppy as an object, not a thing. And if we were more in depth in her life, we learned that she had Poppy kind of oops.
Yeah.
So
it was an accident.
So very much she could have been a woman that didn't want kids, that became a mother that loves her daughter, but still doesn't want kids, right? So this could be an aspect of her personality we're just not privy to. And
she grew up at the age of 5. She had to turn her back on being childish and grow up in order to move away from the trauma that she experienced.
Yeah.
But I think of Poppy, Louise treating Poppy the way she treated her stuffed animals. They went on a shelf. They had to stay in their place. And that was it. Because we have to have order.
And we all know these moms.
And we all
know these moms.
Yeah. And I'm not judging anyone that feeds their kid organic stuff and hand makes all their baby food. If you have the time to do that, good for you.
Good for fucking you. But stop making the rest of us look bad.
No, I don't feel like they're making me look bad either. I feel like I'm happy that someone can do it. I don't like it when they judge me for not doing it.
That's my problem. I feel like they're judging me. So I'm going to judge them first.
Well, to each their own. But But Louise is that kind of parent. Like,
right.
she has to have everything perfection.
Well, if they were in Texas, she'd be doing pageants. Her hair would be big. She would have fake
I don't
teeth.
agree. I don't think so. No,
I
because
really think she would.
No, because
she'd be a big bow girl.
Well, the big bows, yes, but I don't think she'd be doing pageants because Louise did not like the spotlight being shown at her the way that her mom and Mark did.
That's true.
I don't think that she would do that.
You're right. But I would she would be the little girl in the matching outfits every day at school that wouldn't be allowed to play on the playground because Mama got this outfit engraved for me. You know what I mean? It has her little name,
the smocking
on
with the monogram,
and everything's ruffled, and her pants are ruffled, and her name is like Lorena with 4 L's.
And there's a hyphen. She's Lorena Lynn.
Yeah, and that has also 2 L's. You got to guess where. It's a secret. You won't believe it. It's at the end. It's silent. It's a silent L.
Did I tell you, Sammy and I have been reading through the first book in the Magic Treehouse series. Have you read the Magic Treehouse? So there's a pteranodon, and he does not understand why a P would ever be silent, even though I've told him multiple times that it's not an English word, so that's why.
Me
so
too,
he
Sammy
keeps
Cakes.
calling
Me
it,
too, Bubba.
He keeps calling it a pteranodon.
That's my guy.
It. I love it.
I love him so much.
He's the best. All right, number 3. At the beginning of the book, you and I are referring to Mark, who is presented as lazy and leech to their parents, as fucking Mark.
I still do.
Did your opinion of Mark change as the story went on? And what about his reluctance to split anything with Louise?
Okay. First and foremost, he's still fucking Mark. He's always going to be fucking Mark. Because he's always going to be fucking Mark in his sister's eyes, right? So, Mark is this irresponsible, selfish human who cannot, for the life of him, get his life together.
Yeah.
And no matter what he does. I mean,
he tried real hard, too. I mean, who wouldn't think of joining a radical puppet collective? That definitely would fix things.
And here's the thing. This is the worst part of this all. As soon as I heard the name Mark, do you know who I thought of?
No.
Mark Sloan. And I put him in My Name is Earl setting. So it's Mark Sloan, but a My Name is Earl character.
That's not how I pictured him at all.
I don't know why I did that. But Mark...
You know the movie 50 First Dates?
Yes.
Okay, you know Sean Astin's character in that?
Yes!
That is
works
Mark.
Too. You're right. You win. That is fantastic. And you know what? God bless Sean Astin. God bless that man.
Love
because
him.
He can fucking act his way out of a fucking paper bag if he had to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He had to.
And no one can play Samwise like he did.
No one.
That's a
it
real
was
one
his
right
role.
there.
It was his role.
Yeah.
Mark, the problem with Mark is Mark thinks about Mark, no matter the situation. Look when he lost his arm.
Right.
You know what I mean? Look when he lost his arm. She's like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to change our relationship. I'm trying to move us forward.
Right.
I don't want to do this. You don't want to do this, but we should fucking try. And he's like, get away from me. You're the reason I lost my arm. You couldn't even cut it before or after the infinity sign. Like, that's what she was worrying about in that moment, Mark.
I feel like that was very much Cali in Arizona. And if you guys don't know that reference, we reference Grey's Anatomy a lot.
Yeah, just a smidge, guys.
Nothing new on Grey's Anatomy because we don't watch it anymore. But
I haven't started this new season.
I have watched an episode since Meredith left, and I know that she's not really gone. But that final, quote unquote, final episode of hers, I
felt fucking final.
Yeah, so I stopped watching.
What? How do you feel about Mark? Do you think he's changed?
I mean, I have a little bit of sympathy for him when you realize that, like, Luis tried to kill him, which I have a question about later. But I don't have sympathy with the whole, oh, they left me everything, I'm not going to share it. You know, like, that's a dick move. It's a dick move.
Mark's a dick.
And he is really immature, but I do think
for his age, yeah.
But I think that there are some things that Louise thought that Mark did that as the book went on, I was like, I don't think Mark's actually the one that did that. I think it was Pupkin. Like the smashing of the oil pastels into her carpet and things like that. And I think that that's why her mom was always like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Right. Her mom knew that Pupkin was a fucking...
Mom was literally gaslighting her.
Yeah. And I actually think that that's... And it's never explicitly said in there. That's my interpretation. You know, Grady, if you want to come on and tell us
we would love to have a conversation about this.
I'm fine with that. But
hell, we can talk about any of your books.
Any of your books.
Bring next year's spooky season book on.
I will read the demon book for you. But anyway, I just felt like, yes, Mark does a lot of things that he says are not his fault, but I'm not sure that they always are his fault, because with the one time that you really see his heart is the funeral.
That's true.
And what you see
was beautiful.
Yes. And now I understand, like, he had a weird idea at first. He wanted to do it on a beach, and he wanted to do
and throw their ashes in the ground.
A Buddhist ceremony. And his mom ran a puppet ministry. So they're not Buddhist.
Christian puppet ministry.
Right. They're not Buddhist. No. But at the funeral, which they had at their church.
He'll tell you that himself.
Right. He comes in and she's judging the way that he's dressed because he's in like seersucker shorts.
Right.
And like a blazer that matches. And I can picture it so well. But in the environment that he was trying to create, that was 100% what he should have worn. He was a puppeteer too. He was a performer too.
He is one of them.
Right. And they knew him. And that is the time that you see his heart. Then he becomes a dick again because he's like, I got everything. I'm not sharing anything.
Money. Right?
Yeah, which is so dumb. But
on brand.
Right. And then the next time that you see his heart is when Luis, this is all the way at the end, when Luis calls and Poppy has been taken over. And he's like, you need to come home. I'm going to fix this.
Right now. This ends now. We're done with this.
Yeah. So I will say I don't like him, but I
you're not supposed to root for these guys.
I don't root for any of them. I really don't.
You're not supposed to root for any of them.
I'm actually rooting for Poppy because the poor kid is stuck in this shit.
Can you imagine how much therapy that kid's gonna need?
So much.
But
I don't know how much she'll remember because anyway,
she's only like 5. Yeah.
I don't just mean her age. I mean like what happens to her. Like
Tiki. She just thought she was in Tiki Tiki Woods, right?
She was in Tiki Two Woods.
Tiki Two.
All right. In some ways, this book reminded me of like classic 80s film Child's Play.
Yes.
Which unfortunately triggered a memory for me of my favorite doll growing up, which was a kid sister doll.
Okay.
And after seeing Child's Play again, inappropriately too young, my brothers, who my oldest brother is 5 years younger than me. So I was too young to see this movie. And both my brothers, my older 2 brothers, saw it too.
Damn.
They took my kid sister doll, propped it up in my doorway while I was sleeping, and put a knife in her hand.
That's mean.
The 80s were wild. Did you have a favorite stuffy or a favorite doll growing up?
Okay, so I had a stuffed donkey and a Miss Piggy pillow, like the Muppet Baby pillow.
That's so cute. I had a Miss Piggy jazzercise outfit because that was a thing we did in the 80s
Miss
as well.
Miss Piggy and I are best friends.
I love Miss
Piggy. If you didn't know by my personality by now, I am a Miss Piggy. But no, if my Miss Piggy pillow came to life, I would be terrified. Yeah, I would have been terrified because I had Gonzo too. I fucking loved Gonzo. And
that doesn't surprise me.
And they would just follow me. Like, having them follow me would terrify me.
Yeah.
Because I remember my grandma sewing them.
Yeah. Oh, she made them? That's so sweet.
Yeah. Walmart sold, like, the pillow pattern. Mm-hmm. And, like, we got to help her stuff. It was a whole thing.
That's so cute.
I don't know where they fucking are now. It was the 80s, man.
Yeah, it was the 80s. I mean, I was more into, like, Barbie dolls than I really was into stuffies. But I did Kid Sister, and I had a Teddy Ruxpin, but you couldn't snuggle with Teddy Ruxpin. I
loved Teddy Ruxpin.
Oh my gosh. When I got Teddy Ruxpin, I got him for Christmas, and I came out of my room and he was already talking. Like, Santa left him turned on. It was awesome.
I accidentally put my Tina Turner tape into him, and it ate my Tina Turner tape. But I couldn't sing Wackadoo anymore.
Well, Tom actually has 3 Teddy Ruxpins and one of the Grub.
Those are worth some coin now.
I know. That's why he has them. He plans to sell them. Right. All right. Luis's family.
Creepy, though. If they'd come to life today.
It would be so fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Luis's family is full of deep, dark secrets, and only Great Aunt Honey seems to know all of the tea.
And
what do you think? What do you think of the family dynamic of the living relatives? So that would be Aunt Honey, their Aunt Gail, Mercy and Constance, who are Gail's daughters, and then Constance's husband, who we think the name is Mike, but I never confirmed. So I think his name's Mike.
I think it's Mike. The dynamic is very familiar to me from my birth father's side. My grandmother was the matriarch. And my grandma Arvina and Grandpa Ed, everything was centered around them. They had 5 kids, and their spouses and everyone always came to them. And the cousins and the outside families would always come. Like, she wasn't the oldest. She wasn't, but her brothers always came to our house. And when I tell you there are secrets in that family, there are secrets. And the silence was roaring when I was a child. When I was young, you know about this, but I haven't really talked about this on here. When I was young, my cousin Jesse was killed tragically, and it was awful and very tragic for me. But in our family, the kids didn't go to the funeral, even though it was opened up to the school. And that was really weird for all of us young cousins, especially. And they just didn't want us to talk about it. It was like Jesse never happened. And that kind of thing is very common in families like that.
Yeah.
The secrets stay secret for a reason.
I mean, I think every family has secrets. Like, I certainly know that both sides of my family have secrets, my mom's side and my dad's side. I mean, for crying out loud, my grandmother, my mom's mom, her mom, like, abandoned them, all 6 kids and the husband, and just left. And my grandma would never talk about her. I don't even know her name.
That's
at
wild.
all. She would never talk about her. And then my dad's mom got married when she was 14 to my grandfather, who was in the military.
That's wild.
So there's
Presley.
There's a lot of shit that people hide. And I get it. And I feel like, you know, like I said, every family has secrets, but I feel like the ones, this family's secrets, they're wrapped up
in... It's a little weird.
But they're wrapped up in religion. And I don't like when religion comes with secrets, because that's how we end up with priests as pedophiles.
Yep.
So
looking at you, Catholic Church.
Right. So I don't like it. I thought Constance's husband was, like, very sweet. I felt so bad for his part in the will. Like, he didn't want to do it.
And he knew what was really, like, he knew the intent of most of the family. He knew what really had to happen, and he just couldn't do it because legally he had to do the right thing. I
feel like we don't get enough about Mercy for me to, like, really, you know, harp in on her, but Constance says that she's a flake, so I'm gonna go with that. I liked Constance a lot. She reminds me of, like, a heavier woman with big hair who's a Southerner, who's a realtor, and she's just going to tell shit how it is. So she tours the house and she's like, this is the weird shit I'm talking about. We can't have this. And then she's like, yeah, I'm not going to sell this. It's haunted. So, I mean, I liked her. I found her to be really compelling. if I liked a character in this book, it was probably Constance.
I like Constance because she's always the cousin that always told it to you straight as a teenager. Mm-hmm. They all went to high school together, right? Mm-hmm. So as soon as Constance saw some shit going down, she was the first one to walk up to you at your locker and slam your locker and be like, "You won't believe what fucking Billy just did," right?
And what I also like about her is I don't think she fully believes that her mom can actually like exorcise demons, but she still has her help exorcise demons out of houses. Even though
you know what?
I don't think she actually believes it.
Because you know what? We support our moms and their delusions. We support our moms and their delusions.
Her mom is Delulu for sure.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah.
All right. So after Constance evaluates the house for sale, I just said this, she informs Louise and Mark that the house is haunted and she will not sell it.
Yeah.
Up to this point, Louise is trying to rationalize all the weird shit that's been happening to her, which includes
squirrels,
dolls moving out of the trash, puppets missing, taxidermy squirrels attacking her. But totally normal, right?
No. We're not going to gloss over that. It's not taxidermy squirrels. It is a taxidermy nativity scene.
Made of squirrels.
Baby Jesus came for her.
Right.
Look at my face. I am not well.
Not the baby Jesus.
I am not well. I don't do a lot of religion. But for my Aunt Pam, I always put a nativity scene up because it was important to her.
But
so, God damn it, don't ruin my Christmas, God damn it!
Doesn't the baby
Jesus squirrel?
Doesn't the baby Jesus squirrel start like losing teeth too?
And it's like chasing her and stop it! I hate you. You ruined Muppets for me. Big Bird's gonna fucking try to kill me in my sleep. I know it.
I can't.
Thanks, April.
I'm so sorry. Mark tells Louise that he will not sell the house because his parents' spirits are still alive. Even with the title, were you surprised that this house was truly haunted?
No.
Okay.
No, and I called it. I called it. As soon as they started fucking talking about that goddamn little brother dying, I knew it was him. I thought he was in one of the sibling puppets, though, that her parents had made.
Her mom didn't make those. She bought those.
That's even fucking creepier. Why would you order puppets that look like your children?
Dude, there's a woman on TikTok that did that. Do you know about this?
No, I don't want to.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you anyway.
Why do everything about creepy things I learn on the internet is against my will?
Fucking listen to me, okay? This woman went on TikTok and talked about how her mom had an affair with her husband.
Okay.
Okay, so the woman on TikTok, her mom and her husband had an affair. They are now together. Okay?
Gross. Rude.
The woman on TikTok has two twin girls, okay? Has twin girls with the ex-husband.
Okay.
And her mom wanted to be able to also mother the twins. So she bought dolls that look exactly like the twins and she mothers them.
Get to fucking stepping. That is a mom that is jealous of their daughter and trying to take from their child what they couldn't have.
How can you have an affair with, oh my gosh. I don't, we are going to go long. Okay.
I didn't start this. I told you. You know what else I learned against my will the other day on the internet? I'm just going to say two things to you. Tom Cruise, fresh fish.
I feel like you can't just leave it at that.
He likes to have alone time with freshly caught seafood.
He has sex with fish?
Dead fish, specifically.
Where did you hear this?
Oh, the TikTok is full of bullshit I don't want to know.
I feel like this has been not real.
No,
and
it was verified.
All the weird
Glamour
things
magazine verified it.
What?
Glamour.
I'm gonna need some more evidence than that because
I will send you the fucking links.
Okay. Don't believe everything you learn about on the internet, Molly.
All I'm saying is against my will.
Okay, well, I gotta say, I was still a little surprised that the house was haunted. I thought we were dealing with some sort of creepy dolls and, whatever. I really didn't think, especially because the tone of this book is more humorous than it is horror. I didn't really think that we were actually getting a haunted house until we got a haunted house.
But it's not a haunted house. It's a
haunted
puppet who controls other puppets.
Yeah. I kind of thought it was in her head. Like, I thought
it did feel like a schizophrenic break at first.
Like
the squirrels and stuff, and then they were gone, and it kind of did feel like a schizophrenic break for a little bit. And he did get me there for a little bit. He had to drag that out more to really sell that, though.
Yeah. All right. Mark also advises Louise not to sleep in the house after they've determined it's haunted, which she does anyway, because fucking Louise.
Because she's stubborn as hell.
All right, this starts the true horror element of the book with Pupkin, her mother's beloved puppet, who tries to stab her eye out with a needle. And when Mark saves Louise by shooting Pupkin multiple times, this leads us to the Waffle House confession. So let's talk about the Radical Puppet Collective.
Okay. Look, I get growing up in a house with puppets. It's fucking weird porcelain dolls, and a mom who talks to a hand puppet more than she talks to you is gonna twist you a little bit. And yeah, experimental theater is fun. But that's where we leave it.
First of all,
because you're not going to stop a war with their experimental theater friend.
Radical Puppet Collective. Like, that's how that chapter ends. That's how I joined a Radical Puppet Collective. And I was like, hold up, he did what?
And this is why, no matter what he does, he's fucking Mark.
Fucking Mark.
Fucking Mark.
So basically, he joins this puppet group, this Radical Puppet Collective, and they, like, are protesting the war in Afghanistan because it's, like, right after 9/11, and that's what he's going to do to contribute. He's not going to go fight for his country. He's going to...
And the first time that he meets them, they're all making papier-mâché penises.
They are.
Different shapes, sizes, and
forms. As one does.
Because it's for a protest. Because, when I go out to protest against anything, I think, you know what I need to make? A papier-mâché penis.
And not just, like, tiny penises. They have, like, a giant one that's the size of, like, a rolling cannon from, like, the 1700s.
We're just, because that's going to make George W. Bush stop sending troops to Iraq and Iran.
Papier-mâché penis. And from there, that progresses to him being like, hey, Mom, will you send me Pupkin? Which she's so excited about because Pupkin has been with her since she was a kid, like a little kid.
And then that woman's mind, she's like, oh my God, we're going to finally get rid of that fucking dog.
I don't think that was it. I don't think that was it. I don't think she was planning that she was thinking about that she was going to be getting rid of him. I think she was like, now someone else is going to have a bit of this burden. Yeah.
So you really thought she was cool with just, like, that makes it even worse then. That makes it even worse that she knew she was dumping this burden on her son.
I don't know that she knew it was as bad as
she knew her little brother was trapped in that fucking hand puppet.
I don't know that she did know that. I don't know that
she plays with him.
She does.
She plays with him and made him a bedroom.
But she never called him whatever his name was.
But he's in her brain. He's in her brain like
Freddie.
Everybody else is because he's like, where's Louise? Where's Louise? The only reason Pupkin calls her Louise is because it's his big sister.
Nancy.
And she knows that. Nancy. God damn it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that she realized it was her brother. She does say that he's the only friend she has.
I call bullshit. I bet you she knew that.
I don't think she realized how murderous Pupkin was, though.
She knew her little brother was buried in the backyard.
She did not know that. That is talked about in there. She was not there when that happened.
She didn't know. But everybody else did, and everybody else knew she had a freaking unhealthy attachment to that doll.
Okay. Well, it was her brother's. Everyone just thought she wanted it because it was her brother's.
No.
So back to the puppet collective. So Mark gets the puppet, Pupkin,
Yeah.
And one of the guys in the puppet collective is like, this is mine now. And he starts wearing Pupkin and he doesn't take it off.
No.
Because now Pupkin has like
all the
possessed
friends.
him.
All the friends. And they're all in this group. You know what that scene feels like, though? A bad group acid trip where they're just constantly consuming drugs and going into the delusion of acid, mushrooms, whatever, like the dark hallucinogenic they're taking is, and they're just constantly going into it.
Yeah.
That's what that felt like.
It definitely felt like we didn't like this book, but there was that book by Leanne Mority where they were microdosing on mushrooms. I can't 7 Perfect Strangers or something like that.
I don't
8
remember.
Perfect Strangers, something like that. 9 Perfect. I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter.
There were strangers involved.
They were strangers. They were being microdosed, but it did feel like that. Like they were being microdosed every time that they put on the Pupkin mask. But basically, what ends up happening is through a collective insanity controlled by Pupkin, they possibly murdered a child.
Oh, they've done way worse.
Well, they went to the principal's house, the principal who kicked them out, because they did a production show at a school, and they went at elementary school, and they talked about basically the horrors of war, and it turns out that a lot of these kids had deployed parents, so it was not good.
No, it was disgusting.
And they don't pay them because they kicked them out. They go to the elementary principal's house, and it starts with the scene. I had to read it twice because I was like, did I read that right?
I blew past it pretty fast. I had to rewind.
Yeah, so they talk about how she was holding her son back, like keeping him away from them. And then at the end, she's holding her limp son's body. Mm-hmm. So they potentially murdered a little kid.
Child. Yeah.
And then fast forward, Mark loses his ever-loving mind and decides to torch the Pupkin.
Everything.
And he possibly killed his two of his best friends.
Yeah.
He never finds out if he killed them or not. He never finds out.
No, but you know what did survive?
Pupkin.
Pupkin's your friend. Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
And when Mom comes to pick up Mark, because he needs to come home, like he's lost it. He's not well. He is completely unwell. All she cares about is where's Pupkin? Where is he?
I want my goddamn doll.
And she puts him in her lap, like very gently and like stroking him. Oh, so
I've missed you, little one. It's fucking creepy.
Fucking creepy. After Mark and Louise return to their parents' house to burn Pupkin, as one does, they learn the shocking truth that Pupkin lives. He also has his own little attic apartment set up by their mother, Nancy. Pupkin is living his best creepy ass puppet life. And he's remembered Spider. So I want to talk about this whole series of events that like leads up to Mark losing his arm. So what ends up, he's trying to protect Louise, right? Mark is like trying to protect Louise. He can hear Pupkin in his brain.
Which is wild that Pupkin can jump from brain to brain.
I have a plot hole issue with Pupkin, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But Pupkin is convincing Mark to put him on. If you don't put me on, I'm going to let Spider attack Louise. Mm-hmm. And Spider is like this imaginary dog that Mark invented. That somehow Pupkin has made real.
Pupkin loved it.
It has 6 legs, and I kept picturing that deer that like has extra legs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking
about. I don't know why I had a spider with a dog tongue like in my brain, like something from Doctor Who with like bright green fur.
But it doesn't have enough legs. Its name is Spider, but it only has 6 legs.
Right, but it's like. I'm picturing something from Doctor Who with like an alien spider with 6 legs with shaggy green fur, green and pink, purple fur, and a big old tongue. I don't know why. And all these eyes. It's like half Sully, 1/3 Sully from Monsters Inc., 1/3 bug, and 1/3 dog.
I don't know.
That's where I am.
But
you're welcome, Grady. Put it in the movie.
But Spider does attack Luis, and Mark puts Pupkin on, and Pupkin goes murderous.
Yeah.
He's trying to kill Luis.
Luisa put me in the dirt.
And, like, there's a scene where Pupkin is literally dragging Mark's body behind him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how strong that motherfucking puppet is.
Yeah.
That's cray-cray. And, of course, then Mark's like, cut it off. Cut my arm off. And then he gets all bitchy about it. You cut it in the middle. And I kept thinking, because I have an infinity tattoo right here. I kept thinking, I guess I would not be happy with it being cut in the middle.
Fucking millennials and your fucking infinity tattoos. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I would be pissed too. Like, would you be really mad though if your tattoo was cut dead center?
I think I would be more mad that the hospital did not preserve my arm well enough to be reattached. Like
there it is.
Like that feels like a bigger issue.
Yeah. And like the lies about how she got hurt and the bites and the scratches, it's just like, and with all she went through, she barely had any injuries.
Mm-hmm. No, she was pretty beat up. She had a concussion, right? Didn't she have like a whole gash in her head?
Yeah, but
she was really saying it was a fence or a shelf.
Yeah, but they really gloss over her injuries, right? And focus on Mark's.
Well, he lost an arm, Molly. Comparatively, he was bleeding out.
He took a hammer to her face.
He did.
Several times.
That
would concave your skull.
Molly, Mark did not do that. Pupkin did that. Pupkin was actually holding the hammer in his little puppet arms. Cock-a-wee-wee!
See, it's funny. Funny! This is why we like horror! Because it's ridiculous! Okay, so Mark's lost his arm.
He's lost his arm. Do you have anything else to contribute to that, or should I just go to the next question?
Let's go to the next question. I was just like, where are we? Mark just lost his arm. Next question.
All right, Louise has finally had enough after burning Pupkin for good, so she heads to home to her daughter, Poppy. When she arrives, Poppy has created her own motherfucking Pupkin without ever having seen the puppet before. She never saw him. She made her own.
So is this a genetic ghost?
Okay,
like, are we talking DNA now?
Like, how did you feel about this revelation? Because for me, that's a plot hole. Like, how
it's a plot hole for me. It's a massive plot hole for me.
Yeah.
It's a massive, but it also, I had so much panic for her that I didn't fucking care how she figured out she got the puppet.
She peed her pants.
I was just pissed that puppet was still fucking alive.
She was so terrified she peed her pants. And I knew something else had to happen because there was way too much left. There was way too much left in the book.
It had 3 hours left. The book had 3 hours left at that point.
There was way too much left. But I was just like, fucking hell. And the first thing that Pupkin says to her is, cock-a-wee-wee!
Fucking bitch.
But you brought up the point of like Pupkin jumping heads. Like he's able to do more than what like a typical ghost can do.
Right.
He's like, is he jumping between like genetics? Like if you are related to the Joyner family, like you can be haunted by him. You have to be in the
bloodline. And this, we could get a sequel like in the future where Poppy's the mom and all of a sudden the baby's, and guess what? Poppy names the baby Denise.
No! And Denise, I got chills. Don't.
Denise has become obsessed with puppets.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't like this. And I have legit goosebumps, Molly.
Freddie. And her imaginary friend's name is Freddie. Stop it. And his catchphrase is, cock-a-wee-wee!
Fucking hell. All right. After Poppy becomes entranced with Pupkin, Louise goes back to North Carolina to have her aunt exercise the puppet. Because of course.
Because if you're going to have somebody exercise a puppet, it's got to be family.
Well, it actually isn't. They go to, what is it, Barb or Brenda?
Big Barb.
Big Barb,
who is a tiny little Asian woman.
She handles all the puppets and dolls.
That's but she doesn't do exorcisms, guys.
Right. And so, well, no, she does. She exorcises demons, but it turns out that Pupkin is not a demon because there's no demon named Freddy. No. It's the ghost of Nancy's late
What's
brother.
What's your name, Beelzebub? The audiobook narrator gave her the best fucking Southern accent.
I could not help but picture her as a tiny Asian lady that was overweight.
I saw Mrs. Kim. I saw Mrs. Kim from Gilmore Girls with a Southern accent.
That is a good... I was picturing someone that was overweight because they describe her body as a little fluffy. But yeah, Mrs. Kim would be fucking intimidating. She'd be great. Well, Barb was like a little bit more perky than Mrs. Kim.
She was Southern. She was Southern. She was a peach. She was a true Georgia peach. It doesn't matter that she's Chinese American.
Okay, well, anyway, they figure out that Freddie, who is Nancy's deceased brother, he died when he was 5 or Nancy was 5.
Nancy was 5.
Nancy was 5.
At the beach.
They weren't at a beach. They were at a hotel. And
the pool, yeah.
They went to the pool, and Mom and Dad said, "Watch your brother because Dad has to make
do."
Right. Dad has to make a phone call. Well, this was like the 60s, so yeah, sure. Dad had to make a phone call. Mom had to unpack, but Nancy went to the ice cream shop because she's like, "There's no way there's 28 flavors. There's Dad cannot be right that there's this many flavors." And her brother drowns.
Yeah.
So the whole end of the book is this very intense scene of the puppets all coming to life. They form a giant monster of all the puppets.
A golem. Mm-hmm. A golem of puppets. Yeah. A Muppet golem.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
And Jim Mark's of no help because he's missing an arm and that arm gets damaged, and so he's just I can't help, bro. And Poppy is possessed by Pupkin,
and Pupkin's draining her life force.
Yeah,
and it's so wild, guys. This book is so wild. I need you to read it. I need you guys.
You have to read it. I know we've told you everything, but just read it.
Just read this book.
So they go to exhume Freddy's body. So they're playing hot and cold with Pupkin. And at first he you think that he's in the house, right?
He loves this game though.
Yeah. But you think that the body is in the house, but it's not.
In the walls. Could you imagine if it was in the fucking walls?
Well, they were worried about it being in the garage too, because the foundation would have to be torn up. But
right.
But then Mark understands that that's what Tiki Two Woods is. That it's their backyard. They have this bamboo, which why would there be bamboo in fucking North Carolina?
Why is there bamboo in Maryland?
I don't know.
It's all over fucking here.
We have some here too. But anyway, they find Freddy's body.
Yeah. And then they do what they have to do with it. And
that's it. Pupkin goes in. Well, Pupkin's mostly fallen apart at that point. He's still possessing Poppy, and he's ruined by the rain.
Yeah. Because water. Because he's paper mache.
Well, yeah, because that version of Pupkin is paper mache. So.
Fucking creepy ass doll.
Anything else? Final thoughts?
I'm bringing Grady back.
Yeah. I'd be down for that. I actually gave this a 5 out of 5.
Solid. I mean, I had a book hangover. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I did too. And we maybe can talk about this more next week when we talk about next week's book with, all of you. But it did give both of us a book hangover. It was so good. I didn't want to read anything else.
The details are great. The unlikable characters. It's a realistic family. There's so many different aspects of this book. And I do have a couple bell ringers, right? The plot holes and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you guys know us. You listen to the episode. Mm-hmm. Make your choices.
Yeah. I just think for me, the humor of it being this tiny ass little puppet.
It's
that allowed me to enjoy the scary elements.
Well, and also there was just little shit. Okay, for example, the Waffle House scene with the waitress that would just stand there And she's like, you don't need anything?
And there's a pastor who can pray with you.
She goes, we do have a pastor comes in around 4:30. If y'all mind waiting around, help me be happy to pray with y'all. Okay, you have a good day now, y'all. Why is everybody in Waffle House that happy, man? It's fucking Waffle House.
It's drugs, Molly.
Drugs?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about next...
Real quick. I just want to say, for me, the squirrels were creepy, okay?
Squirrels were the worst for me.
They weren't for me, though. The worst for me were those two Mark and Louise dolls. Those things are fucking terrifying. No, I do not want a doll that looks like me. Like, I don't want that. No.
I love Muppets. Like, I am a huge Muppet fan. I've always been a Muppet fan. And I'm going to struggle with Muppets for a hot minute now.
Yeah, it won't bother me.
Good for you.
Okay.
You want to talk about our next couple of books?
Yeah, actually, I have all of next month's books because we are on the end of October. So we're kicking off November with The Banned Bookshop of Maggie Banks by Shauna Robinson. Such a cute cover.
It is.
Such a cute cover. Then the following week, we have a special guest. We have an author with us. We are going to be reading The Medicine Woman of Galveston by Amanda Skinendor. And so funny, somebody put her book on hold, one of her books on hold in our library, and I pulled it and I was like, I'm going to be interviewing this author.
You know,
so
I love historical fiction.
It's not my jam.
It's not your jam. But when I saw Addison post about this, I was like, I'm a bug Amanda.
Addison Armstrong, who is a friend of our pod, talked about this book, and it just was enough that I was like, yeah. Ooh, she has one called The Undertaker's Assistant. Ooh. All right, then we're going to move into Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron, I think it's Bayron.
Bayron? I can't see it.
I'm not sure. But this is a YA book. And let me tell you, this has been on my TBR for a long time. Molly keeps going, let's just get rid of that one. Let's get rid of that one. But I'm really excited to read this because this author is very TikTok famous. Like, people like her shit. So
yeah, but usually the TikToky books we ain't a fan of.
Not when they're
Looking
YA.
At you.
Not when they're YA.
You know who I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, but I don't think that book was really TikTok famous. I think you just made that shit up.
Colleen Hoover?
Oh, yes. I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of that No One Left to Come Looking for You.
Oh, yeah.
Then we're going to finish November by kicking off the cozy winter romances because we are going to have an author duo in December. So we had to move some things around. So it's actually going to start in November. We're going to have an author duo in December. So we had to start this in November. So we're going to do Icebreaker by Hannah Grace.
Which has been on our TBRs for
forever.
While.
And this is like super, super TikTok famous.
It's very popular.
I've heard that the writing is more smut than story, but we may need that after this month of horror. We may need more smut.
We need a little bit more sugar and spice.
We need bang chicken bang. We need a bang bang a bangity bang. I said a bang 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 bangity bang.
Bang, bang, bangity bang. I said bang, bang, bangity bang. And you know what? That's how we're going to leave you guys.
So we'll see you next week.
Bye, besties.
Bye.
Bang, bang, bangity bang. Is it a bangity, bangity bang?
Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of April and Molly, not those of anyone else. Today's book was How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Your Book Besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins, editing by Thomas Watkins, and music is Sleep Sweetly by Prigida. Don't forget to follow the Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you'd like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com or visit our website, bookbestiespodcast.com. Until next time, besties, get lost in your favorite book.